Have you ever looked at someone who became rich and thought, of course they made it? They had connections, money, opportunities. And then you look at your own life and quietly wonder if you're already too far behind. Most people never say that out loud. But deep down, many of us have had that thought at least once. What's interesting is that psychology has found something surprising. The people who build wealth from absolutely nothing often don't start with better circumstances. They start with a different relationship with their own mind. And once you see that difference, you start noticing it everywhere. Think about two people who both get paid on Friday. One person immediately starts looking for ways to feel good right now. Maybe it's online shopping. Maybe it's upgrading something they don't really need. Maybe it's just spending because they worked hard and deserve it. The other person feels the exact same temptation. The difference is not that they're more disciplined or more intelligent. The difference is that they've trained themselves to think about future rewards as if they're real and happening right now. Psychologists call this delayed gratification. But in everyday life, it simply means being willing to feel a little uncomfortable today for something much bigger tomorrow. And here's the funny part. Your brain hates this. The human brain evolved to grab opportunities immediately. Thousands of years ago, there was no guarantee another opportunity would come along. So when your brain sees a reward now versus a reward later, it usually votes for now. Now feels certain. Later feels imaginary. The people who build wealth from zero slowly teach themselves to ignore that first vote. Not because it's easy, because they understand their brain is often designed for survival, not success. Another pattern shows up again and again. Most people focus on what they can earn. People who become wealthy often focus on what they can learn. That sounds simple, but it changes everything. Imagine two co-workers at the same job. One spends years doing exactly what they're told. The other keeps asking questions, learning new skills, watching how the business works, understanding what creates value. At first, they earn the same amount. Nothing looks different. Then 5 years pass. One person has the same skills they started with. The other has become someone the market values much more. From the outside, it looks like luck. From the inside, it was thousands of tiny learning decisions nobody noticed. And that's something social media rarely shows. We usually see the outcome. The nice house, the successful business, the vacation photos. We don't see the years where nobody cared what they were doing. Psychology has a name for this too. Humans naturally focus on visible rewards while ignoring invisible effort. That's why success often looks sudden, but almost never is. Another interesting trait appears in people who build wealth from nothing. They don't take failure personally. Now, that doesn't mean failure feels good. Nobody enjoys failing. Nobody enjoys rejection. Nobody enjoys hearing no. But many people unconsciously turn failure into an identity. A failed business becomes, I'm not good enough. A rejected application becomes, I'm not capable. One mistake becomes evidence that the whole dream is impossible. People who eventually succeed tend to see things differently. They treat failure like information. That's it. Information. A wrong turn on a GPS doesn't mean you're a bad driver. It just means you need a different route. The same idea applies to money, careers, and opportunities. The people who keep moving forward usually aren't the ones who avoid failure. They're the ones who refuse to let failure define them. And perhaps the most powerful psychological pattern of all is something surprisingly quiet. Patience. Not the kind of patience where you sit around waiting. The kind where you keep showing up even when nothing seems to be happening. This is incredibly difficult because modern life trains us to expect immediate results. We send a text and expect a reply. We post a photo and instantly check for likes. We order something online and get annoyed if it takes 2 days. Everything feels fast. So when real success takes years, people often assume something is wrong. But wealth, skill, relationships, confidence, and personal growth all tend to follow the same pattern. For a long time, almost nothing seems to happen. Then suddenly, everything starts compounding. It's a little like planting a tree. For months, it looks like dirt. You water it. You wait. You wonder if anything is happening. Meanwhile, beneath the surface, roots are growing where nobody can see them. Many people quit during the root-building stage. The people who eventually succeed often stay long enough to see the growth above ground. And maybe that's the hidden truth behind getting rich from zero. It's not that these people have a completely different brain. It's that they've learned not to obey every impulse their brain gives them. They've learned to think beyond today, to learn when others are distracted, to treat failure as feedback, and to stay patient while invisible progress is taking place. Because in the end, wealth often begins long before money appears. It begins with a quiet psychological shift. The moment someone stops asking, "What do I have right now?" and starts asking, "Who am I becoming if I keep going?" And maybe that's worth thinking about tonight. Because the biggest gap between where you are and where you want to be may not be money, luck, or opportunity. It may simply be the story your mind keeps telling you about what's possible.